Good afternoon. I'm Elizabeth Medicoli.
And I'm Alex Donlin. And
this is Channel 7 News. Today we're going to discuss the importance of creating a budget and give some tips on budgeting.
Many teens and young adults are not well educated on how to manage their money and to create a budget that will help them plan for the future.
Some people may find themselves borrowing money or using credit in order to meet their financial obligations because they did not have a plan ahead of time.
Let's see what teens know about budgeting and financial planning.
What is a budget?
A budget is how someone spends their money or
A budget is a spending and savings plan based on your expected income and expenses.
You must plan where all your money will go. Therefore, the money coming in must be equal to the money going out. This means your budget is balanced.
What is the first step to preparing a budget?
First step is to estimate your expenses.
This is not the first step. Before you estimate your expenses, you need to estimate your income. Once you know how much you make, you will know how much money you have to devote to your expenses.
Once you have covered the cost of your expenses, you can save the money left over. Experts say that you should save about 10% of your income. The last and final step is to make sure that your budget is balanced.
Is buying your morning coffee a fixed or variable expense?
Buying my morning coffee is a fixed expense because I buy it every day and it doesn't change.
Just because you buy something every day does not mean that it is a fixed expense. Fixed expenses are things like mortgage, rent, cable, phone, memberships, or student loans. These things do not change month to month.
Buying coffee every morning would be an example of a variable expense because it changes based on the choice you make. Other examples of variable expenses include eating out, clothes, groceries, and personal care.
Now let's hear some advice from our guest expert, Kavya.
Hey, Alex and Liz, it's Kavya reporting live from New York City. I'm here today to talk about millennials and my advice for budgeting. My first suggestion is to have a correct breakfast at home to avoid eating out. The average cost of breakfast at a cafe is around $6 to $7, and thinking about it on a weekly basis, you can save around $35 a month by making yourself some coffee in the morning and some toast. Just know your schedule and work around it or pre-plan to make your breakfast. It's important to recognize where you're spending unnecessary money and find alternative solutions to it. Daily expenses like breakfast can be easily minimized that way. So, my biggest takeaway from that, know your schedule. My second advice for budgeting is to begin saving for your retirement. Put aside some money each month into your retirement saving plan, so when one is ready to retire, their financial situation would allow them to do so. It's important to budget that small amount of money aside so that you're never in a crisis when you're ready to retire. It's also important to have an emergency fund in case any situations arise. If you weren't expecting a cost, you might not be able to afford it when it does come along. So as a result, a lot of people end up in debt because they didn't plan for the unexpected costs.
Budgeting is important in order to give individuals more freedom and control over their finances. They can spend their money on fixed expenses, especially for things such as paying mortgage, electric, and phone bills.
When you budget, you are planning for your future. Budgeting is useful for achieving your goals, whether it's saving money for retirement, avoiding debt, or simply cutting back on unnecessary spending.
That's all for today on budgeting. Thanks for tuning in to Channel 7 News.
And remember, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.